Jake's spacecraft shuddered violently as it careened through the wormhole. The controls flashed warnings in a frenzy, urging him to stabilize the vessel, but the forces outside were far beyond anything human engineering had anticipated. "Come on, old girl, hold together," Jake muttered, his hands moving expertly over the controls. His co-pilot and friend, Marcus, strapped himself in beside him, his face a mask of concentration. "Jake, I think I've got a reading on our exit point," Marcus shouted over the roar of the ship breaking through the spatial boundaries. Jake glanced at the coordinates flashing on the screen. "That's nowhere near the Sol system. We're coming out blind." The ship burst through the other side of the wormhole, the violent tremors subsiding as suddenly as they had begun. Before them lay a planet, its vast oceans and green landmasses shimmering in the light of its twin suns. "Unknown planet dead ahead. Brace for impact," Jake announced, his voice calm despite the adrenaline that coursed through his veins. Marcus worked alongside him, trying to slow their uncontrolled descent. With a deafening crash, the spacecraft touched down, the hull groaning under the stress. When the dust settled, Jake unstrapped himself and checked his systems. "Life support's still on, and we've got enough power. Let's see where we've landed." Stepping out into the alien environment, Jake and Marcus found themselves on the edge of a lush forest, bordering a clearing where an extraordinary scene unfolded. Alien beings, their skin shimmering like the surface of their oceans, gathered in what seemed like a festive occasion, adorned in colorful garments and intricate jewelry. Marcus nudged Jake, whispering, "Do you think they've seen anything like us before?" "By their stares, I'd say no." Jake tried to smile reassuringly at the nearest group of aliens, raising his hands in a universal gesture of peace. One of the aliens, taller and adorned with what appeared to be ceremonial robes, approached them cautiously. "Visitors from the sky, do you come to us as friends or foes?" "We come in peace," Jake replied earnestly. "We're explorers, lost and far from home." The alien nodded slowly, their eyes bright with a mix of curiosity and intelligence. "I am Torin, chieftain of the Ilari tribe. Today we celebrate the Rite of Moons, a time of bonding and renewal. Your arrival on this day is unusual." Marcus looked around, noticing the various challenges set up around the clearing, physical contests, puzzles, and what appeared to be dance platforms. "What's this celebration about?" Torin's gaze softened. "It is the day when chosen members of our tribe prove their worth to bond with their chosen mates. It is a sacred and joyous occasion." Jake exchanged a glance with Marcus. "We didn't mean to crash your party, literally. Is there a way we can observe? Maybe learn something from your people?" Laughter bubbled from Torin, the sound surprisingly warm. "Observe, participate. It is all one under the moon's gaze. Come, let us introduce you to the ways of our people." As they were led deeper into the celebration, Jake felt the eyes of the tribe on him, their expressions a mixture of fascination and wariness. He knew that this unexpected detour might just be the beginning of something incredible. After all, what better way to learn about this new world than by diving headfirst into its most cherished traditions? As Jake and Marcus followed Torin through the vibrant throng of celebrants, they were struck by the diversity of activities around them. The clearing was alive with energy, with different groups engaging in what looked like contests of skill and wit. Torin gestured towards a group engaged in a contest that involved maneuvering a ball through a series of intricate hoops suspended in the air. "This is one of our bonding challenges. It symbolizes the navigation of life's complexities. Would you like to try?" Marcus chuckled, elbowing Jake lightly. "You up for showing them some Earth skills?" Jake nodded, stepping forward. "Why not? Let's give it a shot." The crowd parted, making way for them. As Jake took position, an Ilari handed him a lightweight ball, its surface gleaming under the twin suns. With a deep breath, Jake aimed and threw the ball. It sailed through the first hoop, then the second, and miraculously through the third. The crowd erupted in applause. Torin clapped both humans on the backs. "Well done. It seems the moons favor you today." Marcus laughed, his earlier tension easing under the warm reception. "Maybe we've found our new calling, Jake." Their next challenge was more cerebral. Torin led them to a table where geometric puzzles awaited. This test is for the mind, Torin explained. To find harmony with another, one must first solve the puzzles of thought. Jake and Marcus bent over the puzzles, their fingers deftly manipulating the pieces. They exchanged tips and strategies, working together seamlessly as they had in countless simulations back on Earth. Observing their teamwork, Torin seemed impressed. Your cooperation is commendable. True bonding is achieved not in solitude but in partnership. As they moved from one activity to another, Jake felt a growing connection not only to the tribe, but to their ways of celebrating life and relationships. Each challenge taught him more about the Ilari's values, unity, intellect, and respect for one another's strengths. Finally, they reached the last contest, a dance. The rhythm was hypnotic, the movements a complex language of their own. Hesitant at first, Jake caught on to the steps, guided by a friendly Ilari who matched him in enthusiasm. Marcus, too, found his rhythm, and their laughter mingled with the music. As the dance ended, Torin approached with a wide smile. You have participated with heart and joy. You have not only observed our ways, but have embraced them. Tonight, you are not just visitors. You are part of us. The music softened, and the tribe gathered in a large circle, Torin standing in the center with Jake and Marcus beside him. Today's challenges were meant for those seeking to bond with their chosen mates, Torin announced, his voice carrying across the clearing. Unknowingly, you have completed the Rite of Moons, a feat of great honor. Jake exchanged a puzzled look with Marcus. We just thought we were participating in the festival. Torin's laughter interrupted him. And so you did. But by completing the challenges, you have also earned a place of respect here. The rites you completed are those we use to determine readiness for bonding. The crowd cheered, and Jake felt a mix of pride and bewilderment. Marcus leaned in, whispering, "Looks like we did more than just crash a party, huh?" Torin placed a hand on each of their shoulders. "Yes, you are now bonded to our tribe in spirit and deed. But fear not, for this bond does not tie you to a mate. It ties you to our community as honored members." Relieved yet honored, Jake and Marcus nodded their acceptance of this unexpected yet profound connection. Tonight, under the light of twin moons and surrounded by new friends, they celebrated not just a ritual completed, but a bridge built between worlds. The morning after the festivities, Jake and Marcus were invited to a communal breakfast where the aroma of exotic spices filled the air. As they approached the gathering, Torin greeted them with a warm smile, ushering them to seats that seemed reserved for honored guests. You performed admirably at the festival, Torin began, serving them a fragrant dish that reminded Jake vaguely of pancakes. But there is something important that I must discuss with you both. Jake exchanged a glance with Marcus, both their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. Sure, Torin. What's on your mind? Jake asked. Torin paused, looking at the tribe members bustling around. You see, the rites you participated in yesterday, they are not just symbolic. They have real implications here. According to our customs, by completing the rituals, you've inadvertently aligned yourselves with certain responsibilities. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Responsibilities? You mean more than just being part of the community? Yes, Torin continued. The rituals you completed are part of our bonding ceremony. Traditionally, those who succeed are given the honor of choosing a mate from the tribe. This is a very serious commitment here. Jake coughed, nearly choking on his drink. Wait, you mean to tell us we're supposed to pick mates? But we didn't know that when we participated. Torin nodded solemnly. I understand it was not your intention. This is a unique situation. Since you are from another world, the usual customs need not apply in the traditional sense. However, the spirit of the bond, you being part of our tribe, remains. Marcus looked to Jake, who seemed deep in thought. So, what exactly does this mean for us? We're not really in a position to. Torin interrupted gently. You are not required to choose a mate, as our people would. Instead, think of this as a symbolic bond. You are now considered part of the Ilari, respected and honored. With respect comes certain privileges and responsibilities towards the community. Jake nodded, understanding dawning. We appreciate the honor, Torin. We'll do our best to respect and uphold the traditions of your tribe while we're here. The discussion was momentarily interrupted as a young Ilari woman approached the table. She carried herself with an air of confidence and grace that caught Jake's attention immediately. Torin introduced her with a smile. "This is Lyra, one of our tribe's scholars. She has expressed a particular interest in learning about your world." Lyra extended a hand, which Jake shook, feeling a curious spark of connection. "I'm very interested in the science and culture of your Earth," she said, her voice melodic yet assertive. Marcus grinned. "Well, we've got plenty of stories to share. And we're eager to learn about your planet too." As the meal continued, Lyra joined their conversation, her questions thoughtful and her insights about her own world fascinating. Jake found himself increasingly drawn to her intelligence and wit. After breakfast, Torin suggested that Jake and Marcus could contribute to the tribe's knowledge by sharing their expertise in technology and astronomy. "It would be a fitting way to honor the bond you've now formed with us," he noted. "That sounds like a great idea," Marcus agreed enthusiastically. "What better way to exchange our cultures?" As the group dispersed, Jake lingered, talking more with Lyra. "I'd love to learn more about your studies," he said, intrigued by her perspective. Lyra's eyes sparkled with interest. "And I? Yours. It seems we have much to discuss, Jake." As they walked away together, deep in conversation, it became clear that Jake's unintended participation in the ritual had opened the door to an unexpected and enriching exchange. What had started as an accident was quickly becoming a profound cultural exchange and perhaps the beginning of a significant personal bond. In the days that followed, Jake and Marcus delved deeper into the life of the Ilari tribe, guided by Lyra and Torin, who acted as their cultural liaisons. The duo spent mornings with Lyra, absorbing the rich history and customs of the planet, and afternoons working with Torin to share knowledge of Earth's technologies and sustainable practices. One such morning, as they walked through the lush, bioluminescent gardens of the village, Lyra turned to Jake with a curious expression. "You've traveled through space, seen things most of my people can't even imagine. What drives humans to explore so fearlessly?" Jake pondered her question, his gaze wandering over the exotic flora. "I guess it's about understanding our place in the universe, finding connections where we seem most isolated." "What about the Ilari? Your technology suggests you could explore space too." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Our philosophy has always been to thrive within the means of our world. But perhaps, with this new friendship, that could expand. We have much to learn from each other." Marcus, who had been setting up a small solar panel demonstration, chimed in. "Exactly. These solar panels could help you harness more of your sun's energy, make your energy sources even more sustainable." Torin, joining them after overseeing a community project, looked impressed. "Your knowledge could indeed prove beneficial. Our two suns are abundant in energy, yet we've barely scratched the surface of their potential." The discussion soon shifted towards practical applications of shared knowledge. Jake and Marcus organized workshops, teaching Ilari engineers how to integrate solar power into their existing infrastructure, while Lyra and her colleagues offered insights into the unique properties of local materials. As the suns began to set, casting a golden glow over the village, the group gathered in a communal space where Jake had set up his telescope. "Back on Earth, this is how we look at the stars," he explained, adjusting the lens. Lyra peered through the telescope, her eyes widening in wonder. "It's beautiful," she murmured, gazing at the distant galaxies. "To see the universe this way, it's more intimate." Marcus watched them, a smile playing on his lips. "Brings things into perspective, doesn't it? Out here, looking at the stars, our worlds don't seem so different." As night deepened, the villagers joined them, and Jake found himself explaining the constellations of Earth's sky, linking them to the stories of the Ilari's own celestial myths. The shared stories created a tapestry of understanding and connection, weaving the two cultures closer. Later, sitting by a crackling fire, Jake and Lyra continued their conversation. "I feel like I'm starting to understand your people," Jake confessed, "and maybe understanding a bit more about myself too." Lyra's gaze met his, sincere and insightful. "And I? Yours." It's strange how two beings from different corners of the cosmos can find common ground, isn't it? Jake nodded, the warmth from the fire matching the warmth growing inside him. Maybe that's the real power of exploration. Not just seeing new worlds, but seeing your world reflected in the eyes of someone else. Their discussion lasted into the early hours, the first of many deep conversations that strengthened not just the bonds between their two peoples, but the unexpected, personal bond forming between Jake and Lyra. As the embers died down, Jake realized that this journey might have started with a misstep, but now he was exactly where he was meant to be. With each passing day, his connection to Lyra and the Ilari deepened, turning his accidental arrival into a profound opportunity for mutual growth and understanding. One serene night, after weeks of sharing and learning between the two cultures, Jake and Lyra found themselves alone, walking along the banks of a luminous river that flowed gently through the Ilari village. The night was clear, the twin moons casting a soft glow over the landscape, creating a tranquil atmosphere. "You know, I never expected to find this when I crashed here," Jake said, breaking the comfortable silence between them. "This connection, it's something else." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "Nor did I expect to find such kinship with someone from another world. It's like discovering a new aspect of the universe." Their walk slowed as they reached a small bridge arching over the river. Stopping in the middle, they looked out over the water, watching the reflections of the stars above ripple across the surface. "It's beautiful here," Jake said, his voice soft. "Back on Earth, I loved stargazing. Never thought I'd be doing it on another planet." Lyra leaned on the railing, turning towards him. "And back here, I often wondered about the stars. Meeting you, learning about Earth. It's like those stars have come a bit closer." Encouraged by her words, Jake took a hesitant step closer. "Lyra, these weeks have been incredible. You've shown me so much about your world, about you." Lyra met his advance, her expression open and inviting. "And you've shared so much of yours. I feel." Their eyes locked, and the space between them seemed to dissolve. Jake reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Her skin was cool and smooth, different yet wonderfully familiar. She closed her eyes at his touch, a soft sigh escaping her lips. Opening her eyes again, Lyra placed her hand over Jake's. "This is new for me, Jake. This feeling." "For me, too," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. They stood there for a moment, lost in each other's gaze, before Jake gently pulled her closer. Their first kiss was tentative, a gentle testing of unfamiliar waters. But as they each relaxed, it deepened, growing in confidence and warmth. The universe seemed to contract to just the two of them, alone on that bridge, under the twin moons. When they finally parted, they were both breathless. "I guess we're really doing this," Jake chuckled lightly, his forehead resting against hers. Lyra laughed softly, her hand still clasping his. "It seems so." They resumed their walk, now hand in hand, their steps unhurried. The barriers of worlds and species felt insignificant compared to the connection that pulsed between them. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Lyra mused as they walked. "I hope so. There's so much more I want to explore, not just about Ilari, but about us," Jake said, squeezing her hand. The night deepened around them, filled with the sounds of the nocturnal creatures of the planet. As they made their way back to the village, the path illuminated by bioluminescent plants, Jake felt a profound sense of peace. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, forging a new path for both their peoples. Back at his quarters, Jake lay awake for a long time, thinking about the future. His journey to the stars had led him to uncharted territories, not just of space, but of the heart. Tonight, under the intimate cosmos, he had found a new universe to explore, one that promised as much mystery and beauty as the starlit sky above. Several weeks had passed since Jake and Lyra's night on the bridge. Their relationship, initially forged by curiosity and mutual respect, now blossomed into a deeper connection, enriching their daily interactions and collaborative projects. One morning, as Jake and Marcus worked together in a newly established workshop designed to integrate Earth technology with Ilari engineering, Torrin joined them, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Jake, Marcus, your work here has begun to resonate deeply within our community," Torrin began, looking around at the busy workshop where Ilari and humans worked side by side. It's impressive to see our people adopt your solar technology so enthusiastically. Marcus wiped his hands on a cloth, smiling. It's been a fantastic exchange, Torin. We've learned a lot from you as well. Your magnetic levitation techniques are something else. Jake nodded in agreement. And it's not just about technology. It's about building a bridge between our worlds. Torin's eyes lit up with a mixture of pride and gratitude. Indeed. And speaking of bridges, I've noticed the one you and Lyra are building. The tribe has taken well to your relationship. It symbolizes a new era of understanding for us. Just then, Lyra entered the workshop, her presence lighting up the room. I hope I'm not interrupting, but I wanted to discuss our next project. The water purification system using your filtration technology, combined with our natural algae solutions, could start next week. Jake, encouraged by her initiative, responded eagerly. That's great, Lyra. Let's finalize the schematics this afternoon. Maybe after we could. Torin, sensing the personal undercurrent, excused himself with a knowing smile. I'll leave you young people to your plans. Remember, today is the community gathering. We're excited to see your presentation. As Torin left, Marcus nudged Jake playfully. Looks like you're officially an item now, recognized by the chief himself. Jake grinned, his gaze following Lyra as she laid out her plans on the work table. Yeah, it's getting serious, and I couldn't be happier. Later that day, at the community gathering, Jake and Lyra stood together in front of the tribe, presenting their collaborative efforts. Jake spoke first, detailing the technological aspects, while Lyra explained the environmental benefits and cultural significance. The partnership between our worlds doesn't just bring us new technology, Lyra articulated gracefully. It brings us new perspectives, new friendships, and deeper bonds. The tribe listened intently, their faces reflecting a range of emotions, from curiosity to awe. After the presentation, an elderly Ilari approached Jake, his voice seasoned with wisdom. Young man, your work and your bond with Lyra, it's a beacon for all of us. You show us that even stars from different skies can find a common path. Jake felt a swell of pride, not just in his work, but in the life he was starting to build here. The elder's words resonated deeply, affirming his commitment to both his projects and his relationship with Lyra. That evening, as the sky darkened and the twin moons rose, Jake and Lyra took a quiet walk along the riverbank. Today was a good day, Jake said, squeezing her hand gently. It was, Lyra agreed, leaning her head on his shoulder. Seeing our people so engaged, so hopeful. It's more than I could have asked for. They stopped to watch the reflection of the moons on the water, the light dancing with the gentle currents. This is home now, Jake murmured. At least, it's starting to feel that way. Lyra looked up at him, her eyes shining with unspoken emotions. And I am glad to share it with you. As they walked back to the village, hand in hand under the illuminated sky, the challenges of blending their worlds seemed less daunting. Together, they were weaving a new narrative, one of unity and shared futures. In this new chapter of his life, Jake found not only a new home but a new family, and above all, a new purpose. Months had turned the initial projects into routines and the curious exchanges into a thriving partnership between the Ilari tribe and the two humans, Jake and Marcus. Today was another significant step. The inauguration of the Community Learning Center, a hub designed to educate both Ilari and humans about each other's cultures, technologies, and sustainable practices. In the bright morning, with the twin suns casting a warm glow over the new building, Jake and Marcus were adjusting the last of the displays when Torin approached, his stride confident and proud. Jake, Marcus, you've really outdone yourselves, Torin observed, surveying the interactive displays and educational materials. This center is more than a building. It's a symbol of our collective future. Marcus, always ready with a quip, grinned. We aim to please and educate. Think of this as a cross-cultural dialogue in physical form. Torin chuckled. Well put. And what do you have planned for today's opening? Jake adjusted a panel illustrating the solar water purification project. We're starting with a tour for the tribe, followed by a workshop led by Lyra on environmental integration. Then, I'll take over with a session on solar energy basics. As they spoke, Lyra joined them, her enthusiasm palpable. I'm excited to see how everyone reacts to the learning modules. The children were particularly curious during the previews. The doors opened, and a stream of Ilari citizens of all ages entered, their eyes wide with wonder. The children rushed towards the interactive models of Earth's solar system and the Ilari's magnetic field technology. Watching the crowd, Marcus whispered to Jake, "Look at that. You'd think we'd put a moon in here, not just models." Jake laughed softly, his attention divided between the displays and Lyra, who was expertly guiding a group through the center. Her ability to explain complex concepts in simple terms was nothing short of mesmerizing. As the day progressed, Jake led a group to a workshop room, where he began explaining the basics of solar technology. Solar energy is like taking a little bit of the sun's power and turning it into electricity, he explained, demonstrating with a small solar panel connected to a light bulb. An elder Ilari raised a hand. "And this can power anything? Even our irrigation systems?" "Exactly," Jake responded. "With the right setup, you can increase efficiency and reduce dependency on traditional power sources." As the workshop ended, Torrin pulled Jake aside. "You have a gift, not just for technology but for teaching. You bring things to life in a way that encourages curiosity and respect." Jake felt a flush of pride. "Thanks, Torrin. It's easy to be enthusiastic when you have such eager learners." As the suns began to set, the community gathered outside the center for the closing remarks. Torrin addressed the crowd, his voice carrying a note of solemnity and joy. "Today marks a new era for our tribe, one of unity and shared knowledge. Let us continue to learn from each other and grow together." Jake stood beside Lyra, their hands finding each other's. She squeezed his hand, her smile bright. "You're really part of this community now," she whispered. "I feel that," Jake whispered back, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, the faces of new friends and now, family. That evening, under the brilliant stars, the entire village celebrated with a feast. Music filled the air, and people danced and laughed, sharing stories and plans for the future. Marcus, coming over with a plate full of exotic fruits, clapped Jake on the shoulder. "You know, when we crashed here, I never imagined we'd end up like this." "Neither did I," Jake admitted, looking around at the joyous scene. "But I wouldn't change a thing." As the celebration continued into the night, Jake realized how deeply integrated he had become with the Ilari. He was no longer just a visitor from another world. He was a member of this community, a bridge between two cultures, and a partner to Lyra. This harmony they had achieved wasn't about becoming the same, but about respecting and valuing their differences, celebrating them as strengths. This, Jake understood now, was the true essence of unity. The morning suns rose, bathing the Ilari village in a gentle, golden light. Jake stood beside Lyra and Torrin, overlooking the vibrant community that had grown around the learning center. The integration of Earth and Ilari technologies had not only transformed the landscape, but also the lives within it. Torrin, his face reflecting the early light, turned to Jake with a smile. "Your journey here was unforeseen, but the paths you've helped carve will guide many after you." Jake nodded, feeling the weight and warmth of Torrin's words. "I was lost when I arrived, but this place, you people, have given me a new sense of purpose." Lyra joined the conversation, her hand finding Jake's. "And you've given us a glimpse of the cosmos we never dared to explore. Together, we're more than just two species coexisting. We're a community that spans across stars." Marcus, who had been busy setting up equipment for a solar demonstration, called out to them. "Hey, you three, ready to show off our new hybrid energy system? This one's going to power half the village." With a shared laugh, they walked towards the demonstration area, where a crowd had begun to gather. Marcus was already in his element, enthusiastically explaining the setup to an attentive audience. "And with these adjustments, we've increased the efficiency by over 20% from last month." An Ilari engineer, a young woman who had taken a keen interest in Earth's technologies, asked, "Could this model be adapted for agricultural use?" "Absolutely," Jake replied, joining Marcus at the front. "That's the next phase. We're looking at ways to use solar energy to enhance crop growth, solar-powered irrigation, climate control in greenhouses, you name it." The crowd murmured in excitement, the prospect of advancing their agriculture sparking numerous ideas and conversations. As the demonstration concluded, Torin gathered everyone at the center of the village. Today, we not only celebrate the success of our joint projects, but also the bonds that have made these achievements possible. Jake took a moment to address the crowd. I never imagined that being lost would lead me to find a new home. Thank you for welcoming us, teaching us, and accepting us. Here's to many more years of learning and growing together. Cheers filled the air, and the community broke into spontaneous celebration. Music started playing, and soon, the central square was filled with dancing and laughter. As the celebration continued, Jake pulled Lyra aside, under the shade of a large, leafy tree. When I think about the future, he began, his voice soft but clear. I see us, this village, maybe even more communities like this, stretching from here to Earth and beyond. Lyra leaned against him, her gaze thoughtful. I see that too. A network of worlds connected not just by technology but by shared dreams and aspirations. Jake smiled, his heart full. Maybe that's what this was all about from the beginning. Not just survival or discovery, but creating a future where the universe is a little smaller, a little friendlier. Yeah, Lyra agreed. A universe where everyone can look up at the sky and see not just stars, but possibilities. As the day turned into evening, the celebrations showed no sign of slowing down. The entire community, human and Ilari alike, shared in the joy of their collective accomplishments and the anticipation of future endeavors. Standing together, hand in hand, looking up at the cosmos that had brought them so unexpectedly together, Jake and Lyra dreamed of a universe where such serendipitous encounters led to unity and love. The stars seemed to twinkle in agreement, a silent promise of endless possibilities in the ever-expanding tapestry of space.